Greetings, Dragon Ball fans, and welcome to part 3 of What If Goku Kept His Tail. In the last part, Raditz came around to helping the Z-Fighters prepare for his former boss's arrival. Vegeta's continual harassment via the Scouter certainly helped this along. Unfortunately, the Dragon Balls were mentioned, and Kami's as-yet unknown source has informed them that Frieza is not only heading to Earth, but also a sizable force has been dispatched to the Namekian homeworld. On hearing about the gravity chamber in the upcoming capsule ship, Goku is excited to try it out. He vaguely remembers some training he did in High G, so thinks it will certainly help. Bulma and Dr. Briefs slap together a mock-up for the Z-Fighters to use and abuse while they work on the ship proper. That is, until Gohan asks Mr. Piccolo if he and this Kami guy are communicating telepathically. Then, can they also talk to the other Namekians that way? Maybe they could warn them and they could hide or flee or something at least. Piccolo stares blankly at Gohan, while Raditz turns away from the dinner table, suppressing a laugh. In short, no. Kami can't reach the Namekian homeworld directly, but maybe he knows a guy. Well, now that that's sorted, Dr. Briefs is still fully into building the ship, but they don't need it as fast now. That slapped and dashed, entirely jury-rigged gravity chamber is in full and constant use, though. While Vegeta initially refuses to train with anyone else, especially these weakling humans, who can barely stand in 10 Gs, he grudgingly admits, in the safety of his own mind, some respect when he sees even the likes of Krillin managing to move around in there. When he walks in one day, though, on Goku, Raditz, and Piccolo training, without Ikari, he promptly collapses to the ground, barely able to move. Glancing over at the console, he sees 40 Gs. Double again what he'd been secretly training at. God damn it, how? How do they progress so fast? He drags himself over to the console and tries to turn it down a bit. Unfortunately, this isn't the Briefs family's best work, and the panel cracks under the weight of his hand. Waves of energy lash out, smashing everyone to the floor, releasing them, then smashing them back down again. The controls are going wild, from 40 to 100 to 10 to 200. It's all over the place. Vegeta and Piccolo are smashed into the ground so hard that they both get knocked out. Only Goku and Raditz, quickly resorting to Ikari, are able to stay conscious, if not actually move. Realizing that they can't reach the console, or, more importantly, the power cable, Goku remembers what happened with Gohan when Piccolo got knocked out by the Ozaru Vegeta. Could he do that too? It was rage, wasn't it? Well, everyone's gonna die when Frieza gets here. Gohan, Chi-Chi, their new baby on the way, Bulma, Krillin, Piccolo, and Kami too. If what Raditz and Vegeta say about the guy is true, all of them will die. Focus on that. Focus on that rage. Raditz watches as Goku's face shifts from strain to anger to rage. He watches as Goku's energy spikes. His muscles start bulking up, and he lifts one hand towards the central pillar. The beam barely misses the pillar and strikes the wall socket, vaporizing the power lead that connects the generator to the power grid, and suddenly the massive weight on them vanishes. There is, however, a slight problem. Goku isn't powering down. He is, in fact, powering up, higher and higher. Energy starts flicking around and arcing off of him, tearing holes in the walls, ceiling, and the precious gravity generator. He's going wild, as if he's an untrained Ozaru. Vegeta comes back around to see the slightly concerned Bulma leaning over him. Irritatedly pushing her hand aside, he looks up to see... Is that Raditz? Who's he fighting? What is that power? It's unlike anything he's ever felt before. And it's still rising. From the rubble he's sitting on, Nappa comments that it's pretty impressive, isn't it? How Goku has managed to get so damn strong. Unfortunately, this is not the time to be congratulating the man. He's completely berserk, right above the city. To his surprise, Vegeta finds himself deflecting an errant energy bolt that would surely have vaporized Bulma on the spot. With a slight harumph, he launches into the air and joins the clearly struggling Raditz. When Raditz tells him to get away, he can't protect him too, Vegeta smiles. Oh, Raditz, you thought you two could hold on to that little secret, didn't you? Well, this is not some low-class Saiyan trash. This is Vegeta, an elite, the prince of the Saiyans. And, spitting on his current lack of a tail, he too can still wield the power of an Ozaru. With that, Vegeta's aura erupts as his eyes start to sparkle. He has figured it out, surreptitiously watching them train, his budding ability to sense their ki resonating within him, that same feeling as when he becomes an Ozaru, something he's done more than a few times in his life. It's an odd sight for sure. Raditz and Vegeta are actually fighting together. They're not the most coordinated pair, but what they lack in unity they make up for in experience. The wild, raging Goku is eventually beaten when Raditz, seeing no other option, dumps what remains of his rapidly dwindling energy into Vegeta. That energy is then joined by Piccolo's not insignificant ki, as well as Nappa, a recently arrived Gohan, and a couple of the other Z-fighters who are already there. Not Yamcha, though. He's busy stoking his budding jealousy over Bulma's shameless flirting with that damned Vegeta. Every time he hits that ball, it's Vegeta's face. With a final, overpowered hit, Vegeta manages to knock the raging, second-stage Ikari Goku down to the ground, mercifully only into unconsciousness. A week later, the Briefs have rebuilt the gravity room, now with better materials, voice controls, and a variety of time and power limiters. You can never be too careful. They receive news from Kami that the Namekians have been warned, and that they have decided to wish their troubles away. No, they didn't wish the approaching Ginyu Force away. They wished for the entire Namek system to be moved somewhere far out of reach. Now settled in their new corner of the galaxy, they have also wished for 2 of their people to travel to Earth to meet Kami and Piccolo, the lost and schismed sons of Katas. They gather at the lookout to meet a child and an impressively large Namekian. Dende and Nail have been not quite randomly chosen to visit this Earth. Well, Nail volunteered when his duties came to an end with the natural passing of Guru. Dende was just lucky, I guess, being one of the youngest Namekians on the planet. Piccolo and Nail hit it off pretty quickly. They were initially worried about how to handle the bad parts of that nameless one who tore himself apart, but on meeting him, while residual tendencies are present, his time spent with Goku, Raditz, and more importantly Gohan, have brought much of the changes Piccolo underwent in the main series, minus that whole death thing. I bet you're wondering how everyone measures up at this point, aren't you? Nail would be at 48,000, was it? Well, originally Goku was at 8,000, then the Zenkai, and 6 days training in the ship, not all at 100 Gs. This brought him up to 90,000. I think it's safe to put them all reasonably above this. Well, maybe not the humans, but the Saiyans and Piccolo for sure. They've been at this for over a month before Goku's little outburst, and then the Namekians' arrival. After experiencing 100 G and beyond, the Saiyans all take it as a personal challenge to train in those upper ranges. Vegeta is also undergoing some changes. Raditz just up and gave him his energy. He was seriously considering swallowing his pride and asking for it, but was spared by that almost selfless act of trust. Then they had all joined in, even Nappa. He's not sure how he feels about this, but he knows, deep down, that if they hadn't done it, he'd be dead. He won't say it out loud, but he can't shake the nagging feeling that he owes them, despite their own lives being on the line at the time. Then there's that Bulma woman. What's that all about? This all leads to a much more diverse training regime. Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Goku, and Piccolo, not to mention a regular, if rotating roster of other Z-fighters, even occasionally Gohan, who is easily outpacing the aging Nappa. When Nail comes to visit, he sees Vegeta training in there and wonders why anyone would put themselves through this. Well, Vegeta's approach to training is a bit extreme. Watching the prince struggle to stand under 300 Gs, Nail wonders aloud that surely this Frieza guy can't be that strong, can he? Kami, and thus a fairly interested King Kai, overhear this and balk at the lack of concern. With a few unmentionable exceptions, Frieza is the ultimate villain. His cruelty is surpassed only by his raw power. King Kai has been watching their great progress, but still worries over the Earth's fate. With precious few months left, he doubts they will manage to best the little tyrant. As the 6 months draw near, the now expanded gaggle of Z-fighters begin to sense the massive power approaching their peaceful world. It's still only first form Frieza, but this power is quite overwhelming for most of them. The Saiyans, however, are spoiling for a fight. Their training has pushed even Vegeta far beyond anything he'd ever imagined possible. Perhaps even into the realm of legend. The stories of the mighty Super Saiyan trickle through his dreams, propping up his slightly wounded pride. He hasn't got past the galling fact that no matter how hard he pushes himself, he just can't seem to keep up with Goku and Raditz's much more effective pace. All that meditation and downtime between training is surely a waste of time, isn't it? He takes little solace in knowing that at least he surpassed that damned Namekian. As the Frieza ship enters orbit, the Z-fighters assemble in the wastelands, hoping to draw any fighting away from the cities. The ship comes in and lands near enough to where Mecha Frieza and Cold would have months later in the canon timeline. As Freezer Force soldiers spill out, Earth's defenders fan out to meet them. In a scene ripped shamelessly from Resurrection F, the army slams headfirst into the collected defenders, and are quickly decimated. Tien, Krillin, Chaozu, Gohan, and yes, even Yamcha has showed up for this. With Zarbon and Dodoria at his flanks, Frieza floats forward towards the waiting troop of monkeys. Oh, how nice! They brought along some... what were they called again? Namekian? I don't suppose they brought those Dragonball things with them, did they? Some sort of peace offering, perhaps? Sadly, no. The Dragon Balls are hidden away, guarded by Mr. Popo and his instant transmission-capable magic carpet. Sending Zarbon and Dodoria forward to take hold of the two green men, Frieza is a little bit miffed when both of his henchmen are summarily smacked aside by said Namekians. He checks his scouter again and... only 1,000. That can't be right. Damn these obsolete models. When will those new ones be delivered? No matter, if they won't come willingly, they'll come unwillingly. For immortality, Frieza is willing to get his hands a little dirty. As he picks himself up out of the dirt, Frieza wonders briefly how these green men had escaped his survey ships. Their power is clearly impressive. He should have conquered them ages ago and folded them into his forces. Not even Ginyu could do that to his royal self. Speaking of Ginyu, they should be arriving soon anyway, since finding that entire star system missing somehow. They have the new model scouters, don't they? Multi-targeting, better range, and much more sensitive detection. He should have grabbed a prototype on his way out, but he was in such a hurry to get his wish. Oh well, enough of these games. He takes aim at, Raditz, was it? The most expendable of the Saiyans, and fires a death beam. Oh, okay, so did that actually just happen? Did I miss? He tries again, and again. Vegeta, explain! Well, you see, Frieza, you're not dealing with the average Saiyans anymore. We have moved beyond, to the realm of legend. We have become Super Saiyans. Don't be silly, Vegeta. There's no such thing as Super Saiyans. That's just some child story you monkeys tell your kids to make yourselves feel better about being firmly under my boot. It's that kind of rebellious attitude that led to your planet's destruction. Oh dear. Frieza was enjoying himself too much, and he let slip about the true destruction of the previous Saiyan homeworld. He can see the look on Vegeta's face as the realization hits him. Oh, the poor dear. He truly never suspected. Again, Frieza picks himself up out of the dirt. Touched a nerve there, didn't we? He charges back up to Vegeta, and they get into it. Vegeta, much to his own delight, is faring fairly well against this version of Frieza. Those hours pushing himself in the gravity chamber have paid off, and now Frieza will pay for his arrogance and cruelty. He will pay for destroying the planet Vegeta was destined to rule. It's not that Vegeta currently outpowers Frieza, but it's pretty close. Frieza is not a fighter. He has raw power only. Vegeta's crash course in the finer points of actual martial arts is coming to the forefront. Frustrated by his apparent lacking, Frieza is seriously considering switching to something a little more brutish. His second form proves more than enough to break through Vegeta's defenses. Things seem to be going badly for the prince until he takes a really good hit. Frieza's smile turns to gritted teeth as Vegeta picks himself up too, all the while smiling back sinisterly, like he's in on some cosmic joke. With a suitably Dragon Ball roar, Vegeta activates his Ikari form. With a power level now upwards of 2 million, he lays into second form Frieza. Well, this is just embarrassing. What would Father think? To his dismay, even his third form is left lacking. Okay, fine. Have it your way. Final form it is. First Vegeta, then Nappa, and the surprisingly powerful Raditz fall by the wayside as Frieza plows through them all, one by one. When Goku steps up, things teeter in the balance for a moment, before once again turning sharply for the worst. Consistently powering up, Frieza is outpacing even the Ikari's flat 10 times increase. Nail has been quietly watching this, all while reeling from the ever-increasing power boiling off that monster. The other three Saiyans regroup, and, setting their pride aside, if only to finally deal with Frieza, they move in to fight together. Even with Gohan pitching in, their combined power peaks at around 10 million. It's just not enough. Nail turns to Piccolo and says that this is insane. Look how strong they all are, and yet they're all still losing. He can't really believe it has come to this, but there might just be a way forward for them. I think we all know where this is going, but maxing out at a little under 4 million, it won't be much beyond a momentary reprieve. Will one of the Saiyans manage a timely breakthrough to that second, extremely dangerous stage of Ikari? Or will their rage and frustration push them into something unexpected? Find out next time on Dragon Ball. What if Goku kept his tail?